Evil Superman is a recurring theme that is often loved by the fans. A villain that sits at the top of the food chain and can't be defeated by anyone is a trope that almost everyone is coming up with, and they have had some good success with it. But you don't need to look further than the DC Comics to witness what an evil Superman can do. Throughout his long-running history, Superman is portrayed as the embodiment of hope and justice. He usually follows a no-kill policy, just like other heroes of the Justice League, but there were a few instances that broke even the Man of Steel. Most of these events are alternate Earth events that don't affect the continuity, but some events include the Prime Earth Superman brutally murdering his enemies, and sometimes his allies. So, go and grab a cup of coffee before we show you some of the brutal murders done by the fan favorite Man of Steel. But before we get started with the video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, subscribe to us and like this video. It might be just a simple click for you, but it means a lot to us. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. The Joker's unfortunate end after death of Lois Lane by Superman. Starting the list of Superman's brutal kills, we have the infamous murder of Joker. During the Injustice storyline, Joker plays a prank on Superman. He uses his fear toxin, making Superman hallucinate that Lois Lane is Doomsday. Unfortunately, during that time, Lois was pregnant with Superman's child. After witnessing Doomsday, Superman starts beating him and takes him to space. When the effects of the fear toxin wears off, Superman realizes that all this time, he had been attacking his wife. This event completely breaks down Superman, and when he returns to Earth, he finds that Joker has destroyed Metropolis with a nuclear weapon. Wonder Woman tells him it wasn't his fault, and was all done by the Clown Prince of Crime. So, Clark gives Lois's body to Wonder Woman, and sets off to Arkham Asylum to confront Joker. Hal Jordan meets Clark on the way and tries to stop him from doing something he'll regret. But Superman is beyond reasoning now. Clark reaches the asylum, where he finds Joker laughing like a maniac, and in an instant, he punches right through Joker's heart. In the end, Joker dies, but he wins. He has successfully broken the strongest person on Earth. Batman's shocking fate and Superman's uncontrollable wrath. Batman and Superman are often portrayed as best buddies in the comics, but there were instances where the friends had to go toe-to-toe for various reasons. Although none of those events were that serious, there were two instances where Superman brutally killed Batman, showcasing what he's capable of when he stops holding back. The first instance was during Batman issue number 42. During this comic, Poison Ivy takes control of all the beings on Earth, including most of the superheroes. Except for Batman and Catwoman, every other superhero, including Superman, was under the control of Poison Ivy. Batman tried to interfere with Poison Ivy's control of the Earth, and she tied him and Catwoman upside down. Even while he is tied upside down, Batman messes with Poison Ivy by calling out her plan. This makes Poison Ivy mad, and she uses Superman's body to punch Batman to death. When Catwoman inquires if Batman is dead, Ivy confirms that he was, but she revived him using magic, science, and surgery. So yes, Superman killed his best friend while under the control of Poison Ivy, but in the second instance, he killed the Caped Crusader of his own accord. During the Dark Knight's Metal issue number 2, Superman and the Justice League were searching for Batman because he stole something that could endanger the whole world. They eventually find Batman in the Amazon rainforest in the lair of the Swamp Thing. But the Caped Crusader is not alone. He had created multiple clones of himself to confuse the Justice League, but Superman was able to find the real Batman because of his heartbeat. He confronted the Caped Crusader, and Batman revealed that the Bat God, Barbados, was planning to use him as a doorway to enter the Prime Earth. All of this is confusing for Superman, and Wonder Woman claims that Batman is lying. This switches something inside Superman, and he punches right through Batman's chest. But to our surprise, this wasn't the real Batman. It was Clayface who disguised himself as Batman.
Have taken from me.
Superman's uncontrolled wrath culminates in General Zod's demise. Superman is often known for his no-kill policy, but this policy was broken when the beloved hero snapped the neck of General Zod. During the climax of the Zack Snyder directorial, Superman and Zod's epic battle reaches a museum. In the museum, Clark tries to calm down Zod, but he is beyond reasoning. Zod realized that Superman cared for the people of Earth, so much so that he was fighting his own people to protect them. This made him decide to kill the people in front of him. General Zod uses his heat vision to attack the humans before him. Superman asked him to stop, but General Zod said he'd never stop. Superman was in a stalemate. He didn't know what to do. He didn't want to kill Zod, but he also couldn't let the people before him die. He was helpless, and he had to make a decision at the very moment. Without any potential solution in sight, he finally snapped Zod's neck, effectively killing him at the site. This death had such an impact on Superman that he started wailing and shouting in the very place until Lois Lane came and calmed him down. This was one of the most controversial scenes from the epic Man of Steel movie, and people still question whether Superman could have done things differently. But they forget this was a relatively younger version of Superman, who recently learned to control his powers. If he had been a somewhat older version of Superman, then we are sure the result of this fight might have been different. Wonder Woman's fate tangled in the lasso of truth. Wonder Woman can be considered the second strongest human on Earth after Superman. There are also a few instances where the warrior princess and the last son of Krypton had blown punches. But during the Absolute Power storyline, Superman brutally murdered Wonder Woman using her lasso of truth. Absolute Power was an Elseworld event where Superman and Batman's origins were chained. Clark was never raised by the Kents, and Joe Chill was instantly killed after he murdered Bruce's parents. Superman and Batman were raised by evil beings who turned them into tyrants, and the duo ruled over the world with absolute power. This version of Superman was a maniac and a bigger threat than the Injustice Superman. When Wonder Woman tried to fight their oppression and killed Batman, Superman was driven beyond his edge. He fought Wonder Woman without holding back. Superman considered Batman as his own brother, and to avenge the death of his brother, he did the unthinkable. He used Wonder Woman's lasso of truth to strangle her to death. This was one of the most brutal and darkest moments in the DC comic. Superman's uncontrolled fury ends in the gruesome defeat of Cyborg Superman. After Superman's death at Doomsday's hand, a few heroes rose to power to replace the last son of Krypton. Steel, Superboy, and Eradicator came forward to protect Metropolis from the upcoming threats. Later, Superman was supposedly resurrected and joined them, but during one of the events, the resurrected Superman was revealed to be Cyborg Superman, who was here to destroy Superman's reputation. He destroyed the Coast City, and when the real Superman was revived, Cyborg Superman decided to destroy Metropolis too. The original Kal-El, Supergirl, Steel, and the Eradicator fought the Cyborg Superman inside his own turf. The Cyborg Superman planned on using kryptonite radiation to kill Kal-El, but the Eradicator came in front of the beam and saved the depowered Superman. He not only saved the last son of Krypton, but also transformed and modified the kryptonite energy to restore the powers of Kal-El. After getting his powers back, Superman confronts the Cyborg Superman. He punches right through the imposter's chest and vibrates his hand at an incredible speed, which breaks the cyborg's body into bits and pieces. Black Canary's melodious tune turns into dead silence. The next on our list was the time when Black Canary took on the Injustice Superman and died in the most brutal way possible. After Superman kills Green Arrow during the Injustice storyline, a vengeful Black Canary is looking for a way to get to the Man of Steel. She found an opening and attacked Superman with her canary cry. Surprisingly, this took down Superman, but being the Man of Steel, he wasn't dead. Dinah was vengeful, and to end things, she shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet. She avoided any vitals because Batman instructed her not to kill Superman. She was happy with her victory, and Superman's army was also losing the battle. But suddenly, Superman was granted a yellow power ring because of his ability to instill great fear. Using the ring, he constructed a bullet extractor and took out the kryptonite bullet from his body. After taking out the bullet, he instantly killed Black Canary by shooting her with heat vision. Later down the line, Dr. Fate used his powers to bring back Black Canary to life. Superman's fateful confrontation with the Flash. During the DC storyline, Superman had to take down his speedster friend because he was infected by a zombie virus. In an alternate Earth, a techno-virus was taking over the population and turning people into zombies. The Flash was also infected with the same virus, and you can only assume how fast a person with super speed can contaminate an entire population. Wally West decides to go after Barry Allen, but Superman asks him not to. Superman makes the tough decision to meet the Flash head-on from the opposite direction and collide with him, effectively killing him. This was one of the most gruesome and graphic deaths you'll ever find on the panels of DC Comics. The Flash was dead after the collision, but one of his fingers was able to contaminate Superman, effectively turning him into a zombie too. So, Superman meets his family, confesses how much he loves them, and takes himself to space before he can harm anyone. Superman confronts Joe Chill in a molten showdown. If you're wondering why Superman would kill Joe Chill, let us tell you the story of an Elseworld comic titled Speeding Bullets. The comic was kind of a what-if comic that gave us the answer to what would have happened if the Waynes had found Kal-El. When the Waynes found Kal-El, they raised him like they would have raised their own son. Dr. Wayne trained Bruce's young mind while Martha Wayne trained him to show compassion to every living being on Earth. Growing up, this version of Kal-El was a happy and easygoing kid without any difficulty in his life. Finally, the fateful day arrived, the day that's destined to come in Bruce Wayne's life in every universe. Joe Chill found the Waynes in the crime alley. He shot Martha and Thomas Wayne in front of a young Bruce. The child was shaken and started crying. Joe Chill tried to shut him down by shooting him, but this only filled the kid with rage, and suddenly his powers exploded. He shot Joe Chill with his heat vision and melted his face. The following day, the police found Joe's body burned beyond recognition. Superman's shocking confrontations result in Green Arrow's double downfall. We don't know what kind of grudge the writers had against Green Arrow, that they made Superman kill the Vigilante 2 times in the Elseworld comics. The first was during the Absolute Power storyline, which we already talked about earlier. In this world, Superman and Batman were dictators who used to rule over the world with absolute power. On the eve of Superman's birthday, Batman gives him a gift by tracking down Oliver, one of the last members of the resistance group against the oppression of Superman. Green Arrow tries to fight the Man of Steel and the Cape Crusader. He even uses a kryptonite arrow to neutralize Superman, but all of this is a waste because Superman vaporizes Green Arrow using his heat vision. The second instance of Superman killing Green Arrow was during the infamous Injustice storyline. During this storyline, Batman formed a team to oppose Superman's regime. When Batman learns that Lex Luthor has created a super pill to help Superman create a super army, he makes his team sneak inside the Fortress of Solitude to get the pill. After Superman returns, he finds only Green Arrow inside the Fortress of Solitude. To stall the Man of Steel, Oliver shoots an arrow at him. The arrow bounces off his body and hits Jonathan Kent. This snaps Superman, and he beats Green Arrow to a bloody pulp. It was one of the most brutal displays of power from the Man of Steel during the Injustice storyline. Superman vs. Shazam, a clash ends in tragedy. During the Injustice comics, we saw the symbol of hope commit some of the most horrendous crimes in the name of peace and order. One such brutal murder was that of Shazam. Shazam was among the few heroes who supported Superman's rule and teamed up with him to bring order to the world. But later, Shazam started seeing the flaws behind Superman's method and tried to oppose him. During his conversation, he also mentioned the name of Lois Lane, which enraged the mad Kryptonian. Superman raised Shazam by his neck, and before he could utter the word Shazam and power, Superman froze his mouth with his super breath. He brutally killed Shazam by using his heat vision and burning through Billy's head. Superman had become so unstable that he forgot behind this powerful body of Shazam was a small kid. This brutal display of power made Superman lose the support of some of his allies, including the Flash. Superman's Shadow, the fateful end of Dr. Light. Superman is one of the few heroes with a strong moral compass and sticks to his no-kill policy, but he accidentally killed Dr. Light during one of his confrontations. During Justice League issue number 22, the land of Kahndaq clearly instructed the Americans not to enter their land, but Shazam dared to enter their land with the ashes of his mortal enemy, Black Adam. So, the entire Justice League also arrived in Kahndaq to stop Shazam. Since the Justice League was here, Kahndaq thought they were being invaded, so the American government sent the government formed JLA team to bring the superheroes and Shazam to America. When the JLA confronted the Justice League, Batman asked them to leave as they had things under control. One of the new members of the JLA, named Dr. Light, came forward to confront the Justice League, but his light powers started malfunctioning because of Superman, and he accidentally shot Wonder Woman. During that time, Wonder Woman and Superman were dating. This enraged the Man of Steel, and he killed Dr. Light at that very moment with his heat vision. Later, it was revealed that Atomica, the evil version of Adam, implanted a kryptonite in Superman's optic nerve, which means Superman didn't kill Dr. Light of his own accord. Superman's epic battle claims the lives of Imperiex and Brainiac 13. During a crossover storyline called Our Worlds at War, Superman takes down an entity named Imperiex and Brainiac 13. During this event, Imperiex, who is the embodiment of entropy in the universe, discovered a flaw in the universe. So, he came to fix the flaw and engaged in a heated battle with the Man of Steel. Taking advantage of the chaos, Brainiac 13 stole the powers of Imperiex and teamed up with the Being to fight Superman. To defeat both Imperiex and Brainiac 13, Superman decides to increase his power by diving into the sun. He uses his newfound power to push the villains moments before the cosmic event of the Big Bang. A moment before the Big Bang, Imperiex realizes that the anomaly in the universe was none other than him. Thus, Imperiex and Brainiac 13 meet their demise at the hands of Superman. Marvelous verdict. Superman's earlier versions portrayed him as an all-good American hero who always stood for the good in people, but later down the line, this portrayal of Superman was abandoned and he was given a more human-like portrayal. This portrayal of Superman was loved by all because, let's be honest, none of us are good human beings all the time. We also get angry, jealous, and sad. Sometimes we do things that we regret, but that's what makes us human. If you take all the bad away from Superman and make him all good, he will become boring and no longer excite the audience. And we are sure everyone loves an evil Man of Steel because it keeps them on their toes. After all, no one knows what this beast is capable of. With that being said, if you like our content, like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.